The frigid air bit at my skin as I dashed through the still streets, my heart racing with each beat in my chest. My fingers quivered, tightly grasping the remnants of my error. It was never my intention for events to unfold in this manner. It was never my intention to let him down, yet, at this moment, retreat was no longer an option. The warm light of our home emerged from the darkness, the porch light stretching a long shadow over the lawn, inviting and familiar. I paused at the threshold, my breath coming in quick, shallow gasps. The instant I crossed the threshold, I sensed that everything was about to transform. With a steadying breath, I eased the door open, and there he stood, my father, cloaked in the soft shadows of the living room. His face a canvas of mystery, his gaze locked onto mine. Cutting through the weight of the guilt I bore, "I understand," he murmured gently. My heart came to a standstill. I anticipated fury. I braced myself for the consequences. Yet, what unfolded next rattled me to my very core. An unexpected twist that took me completely by surprise. Once, I was the sort of individual who adhered to the rules. But everything changed on that fateful night. In my formative years, my father stood as my ultimate hero. He possessed a quiet strength, never feeling the need to dominate the room with his presence. There was a subtle power in his presence, the sort that compelled you to adjust your posture the moment he entered the space. He was a man of discipline, yet he carried a warmth that drew others in. A devoted father, navigating the journey of parenthood alone. He poured his heart and soul into ensuring I had all that I needed. In a cozy little abode, warmth and affection thrived, making every corner resonate with the essence of togetherness. In a serene neighborhood, there stands a humble two-bedroom house, graced by the presence of an ancient oak tree in the front yard, a steadfast companion from my childhood days of climbing and adventure. Within those walls, echoes of the past whispered softly, adorned with photographs of my mother, a figure I never truly knew, and framed accolades celebrating my father's brave service as a firefighter. He often remarked that true integrity reveals itself not in the presence of others, but in the quiet moments when no one is looking. It's a tale of what unfolds in their absence. I aspired to embody that spirit, I truly did, yet the trials of coming of age had a knack for putting me to the test. The trials of high school, a challenging chapter in the grand narrative of life. Not due to the classes, but rather because of the expectations. My father toiled through double shifts to ensure we had what we needed, and I felt a deep desire to make him proud. I was the one who took charge, the kid who excelled in school, never ventured out after dark, and always chose the cautious path. Yet, in recent times, a sense of restlessness had begun to stir within me. That's where she stepped into the tale. Once upon a time, there was a young girl named Lily. She embodied all that I lacked, unafraid, and perpetually in search of the next great escapade. Her laughter was contagious, and she had a remarkable ability to make the world seem grander than it truly was. Our paths crossed in sophomore year, and from the instant she entered my world, everything was transformed. Lily possessed a unique talent for coaxing me to venture beyond the familiar boundaries of my comfort zone. At times, it was innocent joy climbing up to the school rooftop to witness the dawn's embrace, embarking on unplanned road trips filled with adventure. Yet, on that night, everything changed. That night, she challenged me to embark on a journey I never would have imagined. Thought about Alani, an act of daring. And now, as I stood in the doorway of my home, gazing at the man who had given up everything for me, it dawned on me that I had committed the gravest error of my life. Could he ever find it in his heart to forgive me? Or, even more troubling, would I ever find it in my heart to forgive myself? Lily and I perched on the hood of her weathered car, stationed at the town's fringe where the glow of city lights surrendered to the encroaching night. The atmosphere was rich with the aroma of fallen leaves and the sharpness of gasoline. She glanced my way, a playful sparkle dancing in her eyes. "Have you ever embarked on a wild adventure, throwing caution to the wind?" she inquired, playfully twisting a lock of her hair around her finger. I let out a derisive laugh. "You are familiar with me, Lily. I wouldn't say I'm the kind to act without thought." She wore a sly grin. Precisely. Therein lies the dilemma. I ought to have realized back then. I ought to have turned and left. Yet, a spark within me, perhaps the yearning to show I was more than just the reliable, expected child, compelled me to remain. In that moment, she delved into her jacket, revealing a can of spray paint. "Let us depart." She extended it toward me as if offering an invitation to leave our mark on the world. I paused, caught in a moment of uncertainty. The old warehouse behind us stood in silence, a forgotten relic of the past. All the townsfolk were aware of that. Years had passed since it was closed, its walls now a canvas of graffiti. Surely one more mark wouldn't make a difference, would it? Once upon a time, there was a tiny tag, Lily gently urged, her hand rhythmically shaking the can. "No one will even notice." I took a deep breath, The sound of my father's voice reverberated in my mind. Integrity is defined by your actions in the absence of an audience, yet Lily was observing, and so, despite my better instincts, I seized the can. I approached the wall, my fingers quivering with anticipation as I engaged the nozzle. The red paint whispered secrets as it danced across the brick, leaving a trail of vibrant color in its wake. In the beginning, it seemed innocent, even thrilling. A solitary letter, then yet another. I began to unwind, even finding pleasure in it. It was then that the sirens pierced the air. Crimson and azure lights danced, cutting through the darkness of the night. My stomach dropped like a stone. "Run!" Lily shouted. With a burst of energy, she dashed toward the car, yet I found myself pausing. My heart pounded fiercely within my chest as I gazed at the incomplete tag on the wall. It was not merely a random word, I was inscribing my mother's name. Then, the police cruiser came to a sudden halt. "Hands where I can see them," a voice thundered. I stood still, my breath momentarily trapped in my throat. The sound of Lily's car pierced the stillness of the night as it sped away, leaving me in its wake. With a deliberate motion, I pivoted, my hands lifted high. The officer emerged, his visage obscured by the blinding brilliance of the headlights. In that moment, the final voice I ever wished to encounter in such a predicament reached my ears. "Ah, divine presence." Father. In a heartbeat, my entire world crumbled to dust. For an extended stretch of time, silence enveloped us both. The bright police lights danced in my father's eyes, and the disappointment I glimpsed there felt more painful than any punishment he could impose on me. A weight pressed upon my chest, and my hands began to tremble with unease. "Father, I am not present," he declared, his tone soft yet resolute. He glanced at the officer who had emerged from the vehicle. "I shall take care of this." The officer paused, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. "Are you certain? I can lead him in." I declared that I would take care of it. In my father's voice, there lingered an essence, a sense of finality. The officer cast a piercing glance my way, then nodded before turning on his heel and retreating to his cruiser. I remained motionless as my father swung open the door of his truck. Step inside. The journey back was enveloped in quietude, the burden of my choices pressed down on me, a constant reminder of their significance. Each streetlight that flickered by illuminated my reflection in the window with a stark brightness, leaving me struggling to recognize the figure staring back. As we rolled into the driveway, he let the engine hum for a moment longer. The sound lingering in the air, he remained seated, hands firmly clutching the wheel, his gaze fixed unwaveringly forward. "Are you aware of what you've just done?" His voice flowed smoothly, yet I sensed the tempest lurking just beneath the surface. I took a deep breath. It was merely a forsaken place. Refrain from doing that. He interrupted me. Refrain from attempting to rationalize it. Shame ignited within me, a fierce fire in my chest. I had no intention, didn't mean to. "What? Find yourself ensnared." At last, he faced me, his jaw clenched with tension. "Have you ever experienced the sensation of being stopped by the police? Can you imagine how quickly this could have taken a turn for the worse?" I tightened my grip. It was not as it seemed. They had no intention of doing so. "You are unaware of that." His voice trembled, and in that moment, I witnessed an unexpected revelation. Unease. Not frustration. No disappointment. Unease. My father, the mightiest figure in my life, harbored fears. "I've witnessed young ones stumble into foolish errors and forfeit it all," he continued. His voice now softened. "I have rescued them from the flames, from the twisted metal of shattered vehicles, and some of them never find a way back." I cast my gaze upon my lap, feeling a constriction in my throat. "I nurtured you to surpass this," he declared. That one struck the deepest. I yearned to convey to him that I remained his son. I was not merely a reckless youth careening into chaos. Yet, in that fleeting instant, uncertainty gripped me. For so long, I dedicated myself to being the ideal son, the one who always took on the responsibilities. Yet I never paused to reflect on my own desires. Perhaps that's the reason I allowed Lily to nudge me into experiences I typically would shy away from, as I grew weary of the monotony of predictability. But at what price? Crumbling into fragments. The days that came after were filled with an overwhelming heaviness. My father seldom uttered a word to me. We navigated the familiar routine, attending school, sharing dinner, and tackling chores. Yet, the warmth that once enveloped us had faded away, and it was more than mere silence. It was a journey across the miles. He let his hand drift by. Not even a gentle touch on my shoulder as he strolled by. He never inquired about the events of my day. He didn't even offer me a lecture, and in some way that felt even more unbearable. Lily, in contrast, carried on as if the world around her had remained unchanged. "Are you truly still troubled by that?" she inquired as I approached her in the school parking lot. "You abandoned me in that place," I spoke, my tone icy. With a dramatic roll of her eyes, she expressed her exasperation. I had to. What was I meant to do? Hold on before you find yourself in handcuffs. You were aware that my father was a firefighter. It was clear that he had ties with the police. What does it matter? She retorted. He rescued you from a tight spot, didn't he? All is well, no trouble here. Something within me broke free. This is not a game, Lily. One should never toy with the lives of others simply for the thrill of it. She let out a derisive laugh. Ah, what a moment. What's the story here? You've risen to heights beyond my reach now. I chose to remain silent. I simply turned and walked away for the first time. I understood that Lily was not the journey I sought. She became a refuge from my anxieties, my uncertainties, my longing for connection. Alas, she was not there. At this very moment, I found myself teetering on the edge of losing the only sanctuary I had ever known. A challenging tale. That weekend, I discovered my father in the garage, diligently tending to the truck. I lingered in the doorway, uncertainty gripping me. Shall we engage in a conversation? He kept his gaze fixed downward. Proceed. As I crossed the threshold, my heart raced with anticipation. I stumbled along the way. He exhaled gently, a soft sigh escaping his lips. Indeed, you did. I never intended to be the troublemaker. My voice trembled. I simply yearned to grasp the reins of something, to feel that sense of control in my hands. It wasn't as if I was always the perfect child. At last, he faced me, propping himself against the truck. His expression had taken on a gentler hue now. Do you believe that being virtuous implies a lack of control? I simply shrugged. To be seen as good is to carry the weight of others' expectations. As if one must navigate life without ever stumbling. And when you do, it feels as though you're letting everyone down. With a deep sigh, he ran his fingers along the nape of his neck. My dear boy, perfection is not a requirement for you. Yet, one must embrace the weight of responsibility. The paths you choose, they weave a tapestry of outcomes. I gave a nod. I understand. He regarded me intently for a considerable time, then passed me a wrench. Then, begin the process of mending it. What is it that you seek? He proclaimed that actions resonate more profoundly than mere words. Do you seek to set things straight, then embrace your duty, that wall you adorned with your mark? You're tidying it up. The guardians who granted you your freedom, you're crafting heartfelt letters of remorse. And as for me, he offered a subtle, understanding smile. A great many extra chores are owed to me by you. With a quick blink, a soft chuckle escaped my lips. The path ahead was fraught with challenges. Yet, after days of uncertainty, a glimmer of hope emerged, illuminating a path ahead, a path to restore balance. And above all, a path to restore what I had nearly let slip away. The chilly morning air nipped at my skin as I stood before the weathered warehouse, its presence steeped in untold tales. At my feet lies a bucket filled with soapy water, accompanied by a stiff, bristled brush. The graffiti I had sprayed days ago continued to gaze back at me, a silent witness to my fleeting moment of expression, a mark upon the forsaken wall, a gentle nudge of my misstep. I clenched the brush firmly in my hand. My father stood a few feet away, arms crossed, observing intently. He hadn't compelled me to take this path. He had presented me with a choice. One can choose to weave tales of justification or craft a narrative of resolution, he had said. And now, here I stood. With a brush in hand, I plunged it into the bucket, my fingers tinged crimson from the chill, and began the rhythmic dance of scrubbing. The paint put up a fight at first, clinging tenaciously to the brick as if it had a story of its own to tell. Though my arms throbbed with fatigue, I pressed on undeterred. The warehouse towered above me, shrouded in silence. As if it were weighing my every effort, I was engaged in a battle against the remnants of color. I found myself diligently cleansing the remnants of a self that had allowed Lily's words to shape my every move. The narrative that believed defiance would grant me liberation. As I toiled, an unseen companion lingered by my side. I gazed skyward. My father knelt down, picked up another brush, and began to scrub with determination. Father, there's no need for you to do that, he acknowledged, his gaze averted, speaking with a quiet certainty. Yet, you are not navigating this journey by yourself. Something within me shattered. A heaviness settled in my throat. Days passed as I wrestled with the thought that I had lost him, convinced that my error had erected an insurmountable barrier between us. Yet here I was, in the stillness of the morning. As the rhythmic sound of scrubbing echoed around me, a revelation began to dawn. My father felt a deep sense of disappointment in me. He continued to have faith in me. A few moments later, I sensed the soft echo of footsteps trailing behind us. I turned and froze. It was Officer Daniels, the lawman who had apprehended me that fateful night. My heart raced. Yet my father regarded him with a calm assurance. Morning, Daniels, he spoke. Once the sun begins to rise, a new day unfolds. The officer cast his gaze upon my bucket, then shifted his attention to the wall. still bearing the marks of my scrubbing efforts. Is this how you choose to set things straight? I took a deep breath and nodded in understanding. Indeed, sir. Daniel gazed at me intently for what felt like an eternity, then delved into his pocket and retrieved an object, a tattered cloth. Then, let us ensure it is accomplished with precision. I watched in astonishment as he bent low and began to scrub with fervor after days of silence. A genuine smile finally danced upon my lips. This was the lesson my father had been imparting to me throughout the years. Embracing my mistakes revealed my strength. It forged my strength. In that instant, I realized I had transformed from the child who once clutched that spray can. I was superior. The first light of dawn began to break as we completed our task. The wall, once a canvas for reckless expression, now stood as a testament to time-damp bricks revealing their true nature. Clean yet bearing the faint whispers of vibrant colors that had long since faded away. My arms ached. A weary reminder of the journey I had undertaken. My fingers were worn and tender. As I gazed upon our creation, an unexpected feeling washed over me. Honor, not in the act itself, but in the journey taken. In the acknowledgement of my mistake, I chose to confront it rather than flee from it. Officer Daniels brushed the dust from his hands, casting a glance in my direction. That night when I found you, I had a feeling I'd be reading your name in a police report again before long. I felt a surge of tension, yet a sly grin crept across his face. At this moment, I'm a bit uncertain. A soft sigh of relief escaped my lips. My dad brushed his hands against his jeans, then turned his gaze toward me. You performed admirably today. Those four words held a significance beyond his wildest imagination. After days of uncertainty, a warmth enveloped me, reminding me of the bond we once shared as father and son. Confronting the challenges and progressing onward. Offering my apologies to Officer Daniels was just one chapter, but there was another character I had to confront. That afternoon, I stepped into the fire station, my heart racing with anticipation. My dad had already shared the tale of what transpired with his colleagues. In a quaint little town, nestled away from the hustle and bustle, life unfolded in its own gentle rhythm. Whispers traveled swiftly. The individuals who collaborated with him were more than mere colleagues. They were like family to me, and I had humiliated him in front of them. As I entered the garage, the sight of the fire trucks standing proudly in their stalls greeted me. The scent of oil and smoke hung thick in the air. A handful of firefighters cast their eyes my way as I entered, yet I held my head high, unwavering. Is the chief in his office? I inquired of one among them. The man inclined his head in acknowledgement. Indeed, best of fortune to you, young one. I inhaled deeply and rapped on the door. Step inside. A resonant voice beckoned. As I crossed the threshold, a world unfolded before me. Chief Harris sat behind his desk, his thick arms crossed over his chest, a silent guardian of the tales that lingered in the air around him. He was a longtime acquaintance of my father's, yet that wasn't going to simplify matters. Before he could utter a word, I stepped forward, ready to express my regret. I made a regrettable choice, and I realized I brought embarrassment to my father and this station. Harris reclined, observing me intently. Is that everything? I paused, caught in a moment of uncertainty. Absolutely not. I would love to inquire about the possibility of volunteering here. His eyebrows arched in surprise. Would you like to lend a hand? Indeed. I wish to express something deeper than mere apologies. I wish to unveil it. He remained quiet for an extended period. To my astonishment, he gave a nod. Very well, you may begin by washing the trucks, should you choose to persist beyond a week. We shall consider the possibility of granting you further opportunities. Relief washed over me. Thank you, kind sir. Hold your gratitude for now, he cautioned. Should you falter once more, my patience will wear thin. I gave a nod. I shall not, and I truly meant it. As one chapter closes, a new one unfolds. A few days later, a message from Lily arrived on my phone. Lily, greetings. Will you be joining us at the bonfire this evening? I gazed intently at my phone. I was fully aware of the outcome that awaited me if I chose to go. There would be revelry, outrageous challenges, and individuals eager to showcase their defiance. For the first time, I beheld it in its true form. Once upon a time, there was a void, a space untouched and unfilled, waiting for a tale to unfold. I crafted a reply. Not really, no, there are tasks awaiting my attention. Her response came without hesitation. Lily, what a marvel. It seems your father has quite the influence over you, doesn't it? I chose to remain silent. I have just erased her number. As I tucked my phone away, the sound of footsteps echoed behind me. As I glanced over, there was Officer Daniels making his way toward the fire station. Volunteering, huh? He remarked. I shrugged. It felt like the choice that beckoned to be made. He wore a sly grin. Perhaps I misjudged you, perhaps, I mused. And for the first time, I discovered the essence of my being. Not the exemplary child, not the troublemaker, only me. And that was enough. For a year later, I found myself standing before the fire station, hands resting on my hips as the sunset bathed the red trucks lined up in the garage in a warm, golden glow. The air was thick with the familiar aroma of smoke and engine oil, a fragrance I had grown to cherish. I had transcended the role of a mere volunteer. In the beginning, I found myself as a novice, eager to learn and grow. After months of washing trucks, learning first aid, and running drills alongside the firefighters, Chief Harris took me aside for a moment of significance. "You've got spirit, my friend," he had said. "If you truly wish to embark on this journey, we stand ready to guide you toward certification." And I had, reflecting on the boy I once was. A year passed. I recalled the one who sought trouble, rebellion, and a cause to champion. He sensed an unfamiliarity within himself now. As the station doors groaned open behind me, my dad emerged, cradling a warm cup of coffee in his hand. "Not bad, huh?" he said, gesturing toward the horizon with a knowing smile. A smile graced my lips. "Quite decent, indeed." For the first time, I found myself not in pursuit of an identity. I had crafted one. A single choice, a fleeting moment of accountability, transformed everything. As I gazed upon the winding path before me, a sense of certainty washed over me. This was merely the dawn of my journey.